Hello, everyone, and welcome to Jake's Take with Jacob Elyachar Podcast 5th Anniversary Kickoff Month. I'm your host, Jacob Elyachar, the chief content producer and writer of JTwJE.com, a pop culture entertainment news website. Before we get started, if you're watching this on YouTube, please give us a thumbs up. Now, if you're listening to us on our audio platforms, please give us a 5-star rating and please subscribe. I'm so excited today because I've been chatting with this guest on Instagram for the past year and a half. He is an online fitness trainer and the owner of the Fitness Jungkie Training. He's also the host of Elevated Everyday Podcast, and as of this recording, he has over 1,300 YouTube subscribers, 7,300 Instagram followers, including myself, and his content has been liked on TikTok 50,000 times. So please help me welcome Kade Jungkurth to the podcast.
Wow, man, that was the most enthusiastic intro I've ever experienced. So I appreciate that. Thank you. Thanks for having me.
You're so welcome, Kade. It's finally a privilege to meet you.
Yeah, for sure. Like you said, we've been following each other, and you send me like your lifts and your PRs sometimes over Instagram. I feel like I think I've sent you some feedback on your forum and stuff like that. So yeah, it's kind of like we're Instagram pen pals over fitness stuff. So it's been cool and cool to finally meet you.
Cool, Kade. It's been really cool. So let's get this started, shall we? So when did you get interested in fitness, and how did that passion desire to pursue a career in bodybuilding and personal training?
For sure. So I've been into fitness, for a long time. Since I was pretty young. I was a smaller kid. I was like always kind of one of the smallest kids in my class, even though I was just the way my birthday kind of fell in the year. I was usually like one of the oldest kids in my class, but I was still one of the smallest, shorter, skinnier, weighed like 120 pounds up until like my sophomore year of high school. So I was just a small guy. And I just wanted to put on muscle. I don't know, I guess just being that small guy and then just, looking up to celebrities and just people that have muscle and stuff like that. I just really wanted to be able to do that and get bigger, and kind of like take control of my own physique, my health and everything. Also playing sports, just being like one of the smallest guys and wanting to be good at football and basketball, and the coach just saying like, you're small and you're just this small white guy and just like, wanting to elevate in that way. So that's what kind of sparked it. And then as I tried to improve for all those things and put on muscle, for my sports that I played and just for my own confidence, so much like growth and self-transformation came from that. Just being able to take full control over my physique, I feel like then started showing me that I can take control in other areas. And then I started doing personal training because I was so passionate about this when I was pretty young. So I started when I was 20 years old, and I'm 29 now. So I've already been doing this for 9 years. So I started while I was in school, in college, and studying sports conditioning. So basically kinesiology, basically sports science. So I just like was completely immersed, using myself as my own lab rat, doing all this stuff, studying it in school and teaching like professors and students at the university how to get fit for themselves. And through that, getting really passionate about helping others with their own fitness. Again, like a lot of growth and transformation took place because I was kind of an introverted kid also growing up. And then, so once you start talking about your passion with people and you start like seeing that you can like help people with what you know, it kind of just opened my eyes to what's possible with like coaching and everything. So, I did the whole in the gym personal training, like one-on-one sessions, from that point for like 6 years. So from like 20 to 26 years old, that's what I was doing full time. But then it got to a point where basically like there's only so many hours you can spend in a gym training clients one-on-one, right? So that's where kind of the evolution of like, all right, what's the next steps? How can I kind of scale myself and not go crazy because I'm in a gym 24/7, either working out or working with clients, right? So that's when the whole online coaching, I started dabbling in it. Never really thought it could be a full-time thing. But just the more I've gotten into it, the more kind of the industry changes. And I'm sure you'll have questions on kind of this evolution. Feel like I'm going on a spiel right now, but yeah, that's what kind of led me to the online and what I'm doing full time now. So
And don't worry, Kate. We'll have plenty of time to get into depth. But I got to say, Kate has a devoted group of clients, and I am proud to say that those gatherings that you started to have are incredible. If you guys go on his Instagram, you'll see him actually doing group gatherings and actually working out with them. It's incredible. So when did you start these gatherings?
yeah, so we call them our either our Dallas meetups or our Houston meetups because that's where I have most of my clients. I do have clients all over the world basically. It's pretty crazy now. I've got clients in Germany, in London actually now. I've got one that goes kind of between Africa and the U.S. for his job. So I've got clients. Wish we could all get together everywhere. I wish we could go on a world tour, meet up with everyone. But basically, we've got our Dallas and our Houston meetups, we call them, because that's where most of my clients are since I live in Texas. And so basically that started 2 years ago. Basically, when I started doing this full time, I was like, you know what? I still want that in-person touch. I still want to see people in person when I can. So I decided to kind of put these events together. And I try to do one that's in a gym in both Dallas and Houston a year, and one that's kind of just more of a social gathering, just kind of, getting together, kind of building the community, getting the other fitness junkies is what we call us, the other fitness junkies together to kind of meet each other so that it's not just all online, right? Because, when it's all online, we can give them all the structure and the guidance they need and the support to reach their goals. But there's just something about meeting everyone in person, doing these events, and just getting to know people. And then it's like you kind of get to put a face to the name, and just be able to get that extra connection with everyone and build the community a little bit stronger. So.
And community is a very strong thing. I've been off and on with my fitness community, Kansas Athletic Club. I gotta give them a shout out in this interview. And the thing is, it'd be very intimate. Is it like people when we have the meetups, are people saying, "Oh God, I need to go harder," or "Oh God," especially when it's the gym meetups. I'm a little because believe me, I'm a little concerned if I ever come to those meetups. I'm like, I don't want to feel like I'm falling behind.
No, man, it's very I've got clients that are, it's a full spectrum. Like some are brand new to fitness. I kind of meet you where you're at. And I've got clients that are also very advanced. I've got clients that are literally stronger and probably in better shape than I am. Right. So it's just kind of meeting you where you're at. And it's not really an intimidation thing or something to be intimidated about. We're not maxing out and going crazy at these meetups. It's more just, kind of getting together, get a good workout in, trying to see if I can help with form too. That's a benefit with the in-person meetups because, we do video kind of consultations and, people send me their form, kind of like you do over Instagram, but on a regular basis. Whenever they do the workouts, I check their form, give them some feedback, just make sure everything's on point. But there's, like I said, it's just, there's something different about getting in person, and getting that in-person connection. So.
Absolutely. So, Kate, what have been some of the challenges that you faced staying in the fitness industry, and how do you overcome those obstacles?
Challenge I've faced, I would say, I mean, there's a challenge every day. When you're working with a large number of people, it's something comes up every week, right? Or really every day. It's like someone's sick. There's maybe a small injury, like you were saying. You said you injured your leg, so it's like there's always stuff that we're all working through, right? So it's and you kind of have to be there for your clients, make sure you're supporting them, make sure you're giving them the right advice to kind of work through whatever they're going through. So I would say that there's challenges like that every day, but I would say big challenges or kind of main obstacles that I've had to overcome kind of in my career with fitness would be, like I was kind of alluding to earlier, kind of feeling stuck in the gym, feeling okay, I can only train so many hours a day. And I'm kind of confined to the people that go to this gym that I work at. And I worked at several different gyms, but whenever I was working at gym, it's I can only train people here. So it's how can I, one, make more time for myself so that I can kind of scale what I'm doing, but also how can I, train everyone and not just people that can only afford one-on-one personal training. Cause I don't know if a lot of you have looked into it, but if especially, and I worked at kind of a high end gym. So it's like I was training like CEOs, entrepreneurs, business owners, and stuff like that. It's like, not everyone could afford the one-on-one type of services that I was providing. So I was like, okay, how can I do something where I can help more people because I've got more time, and they could also probably afford it better because it's kind of just packaged differently and still get them to the results that they're ultimately trying to achieve. And that's where just over time, I came up with the Fit for Life program and just what I do online. Because really, honestly, most people can afford it. And it's more of like, you get the structure and the guidance that you need. I'm there for your support. And we have constant check-ins, but like, I don't need to be in the gym with you, like counting your reps, being there for the full hour. Right. And I can help you from wherever you are. So that's what I would say would be like the main obstacle was just figuring out, kind of once I got to that point where I capped myself out, what I can do at a gym is like, okay, where do I go from here? And it's kind of been a learning process, but that's kind of where I'm at now. So
I think you're great. You're doing a fabulous job, Kate. And like I think there's incredible. You do a lot for your clients, so I got to commend you for that.
thank
And
you.
also for me when I reach out to you and show you all the stuff, because the thing is, I love your commentary, and I've made sure because there's only a few people that I reach out to that are in, and I'm like, you're one of them. Drew Manning at Fit to Fat Fit's another one. Also, my friend Paulie Calafieri, Josh Mooney. I definitely send them my stuff when I need help.
Awesome, man. Well, I appreciate that. And that's cool that you've had, I used to watch some of those Fit to Fat to Fit, episodes. So that's cool that you had him on. That's pretty sweet.
I've known Drew since he began his journey, so it's been a long time. So
Yeah.
thank you very much, Kate. I appreciate it. He's amazing. And it's a power of, I always say, if you have a personal trainer that gets you and inspires you, you're going to get it.
Yeah.
So
100%. Yeah.
speaking of inspiration, you made an announcement on Instagram a couple weeks ago that I was very excited about because you're competing in powerlifting.
Yes, sir. Yeah, I'm pretty pumped. This is my first powerlifting, full powerlifting competition. I'm wearing the shirt. Coincidentally, I've done a deadlift competition called Deadlifts for Dude. It was like for ASPCA. It was a charity event. But this is my full squat, bench, and deadlift powerlifting competition. It's in 6 months, so I've got a good amount of time to train for it. I've got my own coach, which I find so much value in coaching that I typically have my own coach. Just and I feel like it just holds you to that higher standard, right? So I've got a coach. Shout out to Disruptive Strength. Maybe we could put his Instagram on there too. His name's Andres Allen, but his Instagram handle is Disruptive Strength. But yeah, so got a powerlifting competition coming up in June 15th. Super pumped. It's going to be a journey, but I feel like, it's something else that going through this experience is going to help me, say if I get clients that are serious about powerlifting or just are really into strength training, it kind of seems like you're into strength training, Jacob. You're sending me like PRs and stuff like that on squats and deadlifts and things like that. So yeah, I think just this journey is going to help with my experience to carry that on and help my clients that are interested in leveling up their strength gains and everything. So
Yeah, I definitely had like a couple before I injured my leg. I actually had 2 by 245 with a deadlift, and it's been a while since I've done it. And then last week, or a couple weeks ago, I actually hit 6 by 105 when it's the push jerk. So that was the biggest amount I've done with the push jerk from the
nice,
ground.
nice, solid.
Yeah, so I'm doing my best. So how have you used social media to expand your organization's clientele?
Yeah. So like I was saying, that's what's so cool because when you work in a gym, it's like, all right, you can basically only help the people that are right there, that are members of that gym. But when you're doing things online, like I can reach out to anyone, right? It's literally all across the world. So it's basically, I can put out content, I can reach out to people online. I've got my own podcast now, like however, just different avenues has just expanded my reach, and not only just, um, you know, on who I can get as clients, but also just like it allows me to put out free content. And so it's literally like I'm just expanding what I'm doing overall, right? It's like Even if you're not a client of mine, you can watch a YouTube video, get some information, follow me on Instagram, get some inspiration kind of daily and stuff like that. So it's just allowed me to put a lot more out there, and yeah, definitely expand the business, but also just kind of expand my reach on how I can reach other people. So
Absolutely. And you've done a really good job. I'm glad you brought up your podcast. So you launched the Elevated Everyday Fitness podcast. So what have been some of the lessons that you've learned from your guests?
man, yeah, that's a good question. Honestly, with the Elevate Everyday podcast, I think what keeps me going, keeps me driven, and keeps me, because I think I'm at like 24, 25 episodes in, something like that. So it hasn't been too long. And I don't have a huge following yet, but hopefully it expands. But what lessons I've learned is what keeps me going, because I have such incredible guests on there. From wide varieties. Like, it's not just fitness. I've had psychologists on there. I've had people that are really into like mindfulness. So it's really about just overall kind of self-development and self-mastery, and just becoming your best self. So one lesson that comes to mind from this was one of my earlier episodes that I had with a psychologist is that like happiness, and this is something maybe I knew before, but it just ingrained this, now it's just like one of my core beliefs, that you shouldn't chase like happiness, right? Happiness shouldn't be the goal. It should be to find meaning in what you do and find fulfillment every day. Like if you're living your purpose, if you're, serving others, and you're really finding meaning in what you're doing every single day, then that's where like you should chase fulfillment over just trying to be like happy, right? So that's definitely a lesson I've learned that I appreciate the psychologist that came on, and we talked about that for a good bit. So that's one thing. I don't know if that's something that resonates with you, Jacob, but yeah, that was definitely one lesson that I've thought about a lot since I had him on. It's just been kind of life changing, honestly. So.
All righty, I gotta talk about some of your guests because we actually have a mutual guest for both of us.
Oh,
One of the biggest influencers, Patrick Lyons, was your
oh,
pilot guest.
I didn't know you had Patrick Lyons on. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, Patrick and it was way back in 2020, so back in the early days.
Nice. Yeah. Patrick was my very first guest on the podcast, actually. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah, and also I was gotta say, Be the Energy Steve, I think I loved his energy. And he
Yeah.
was talking about dunk to rapper. What in that journey. So what was that what was fascinating about that conversation?
Yeah, I actually appreciate you bringing up Energy Steve, because he had a big impact on me in my own dunk journey. So I used to be able to dunk a basketball. I had an ankle injury last year that's kind of took me out of like doing a lot of jumping. But I had my own dunk journey, and I followed Be the Energy Steve for a long time. And he's 5'9", so he's even shorter than me. Just a white guy. And so saw him on YouTube, and he's just throwing down these crazy dunks, like windmill dunks. Just all these things that I would never think would be possible for someone his size. And don't mean to be like stereotypical, but like a regular white guy. And so just really inspired me. And he had a lot of good content on YouTube. And yeah, I would binge watch his videos of him like showing himself dunking and kind of talking about his journey and stuff like that. So it was pretty surreal having a conversation with him. And what I saw, what I really learned through that conversation is he's kind of going through his own transformational journey right now. He's kind of come to the end of a chapter with his dunking style of content. He kind of maxed out what he could do there. He's getting a little bit older. And so he's kind of transitioning in his career to more like music and being an artist and rapping. So he's kind of transitioning and doing that. And so it was super interesting and surreal to have a conversation with him, and just kind of like talk through what's going through his mind, and kind of like how he's transitioning into this reinventing himself and doing something completely different from what he used to. So it was really cool. It's kind of like, honestly, like almost meeting one of your idols in a way. So it was really cool to have him on. But yeah, it was interesting to talk through that with him.
Awesome. And then another guest I got to bring up is Brad Feinberg. Who, by the way, who has some pretty star power coaches, Dan Reynolds of Imagine Dragons, Diplo, and Steve Aoki too.
For sure. Yeah. It's pretty cool. We've talked about basically the difference between like training, those high profile type of names like that. Like you just mentioned, like he's trained the lead singer of Imagine Dragons and Diplo and stuff like that, and Steve Aoki. So we've talked about kind of the difference between training those type of people and just like your general population type of people. And it all just comes down to mindset. And that's what we really connected on. And I actually just recorded a second episode with him the other day that'll come out, I think this weekend. So yeah, that was one of my favorite conversations with Brad, just because we're so in line with kind of what we talk about, mindset wise, how we like to, train our clients, just kind of our fitness and life philosophy is very in line. So yeah, and just kind of our mindset and what we like to talk about with like discipline, and everything like that. So yeah, definitely, probably one of my favorite guests because he's the second appearance on the podcast. So definitely enjoyed talking with Brad.
That's amazing. That's amazing. Have you thought about any more have you thought about other dream guests that you want to have?
That's a good question. Yeah, I've reached out to a few. So I think it's good to like, just kind of, throw it out there, to shoot your shot. So I've reached out to some other YouTube fitness influencers that I followed for a long time. I never thought Be the Energy Steve would come on the podcast. I honestly wasn't sure if Patrick Lyons would even come on the podcast, right? So I think it's always good to shoot your shot, and I feel like I can have a conversation with anyone, just, as long as you have good questions and you're curious. I feel like it can be a really good conversation. So I reached out to Nick Wright, who's been in the YouTube fitness space for a really long time. And I think he replied back and he said he's going to come on it, at the start of the new year. So I think we'll get that episode going. I actually worked with a pretty big fitness influencer back at Gold's Gym in College Station named Zach Talander. I'm not sure if you are familiar with him. He's really into Olympic lifting, and he's kind of been into CrossFit, so you might want to check out some of his stuff. But we should be getting a podcast recorded. It'd be amazing to get someone like Christian Guzman or like Max Tuning, one of those like OG fitness influencers, even, Chris Jones, Physiques of Greatness. I actually met him in person at a Dallas gym. And so I kind of shot my shot, and we might get a podcast recorded sometime in the future. So yeah, so just looking to connect with other like-minded individuals and just see where it goes. So
I gotta say, those are all great guests. And I have to say, one of my earlier interviews, way back in when I was just doing my blog stage, was with Nick. And I'm very grateful that
Oh,
he
really?
came on my podcast. I'm like hoping one of these days that hopefully it's the 5th anniversary and hopefully the stars will align and putting this out in the universe that
There you
Nick
go.
will come on. And
Yeah.
same with Christian, because I gotta say, Christian and Max, I've followed both their journeys. And like, have you thought about taking the junkies to Alpha Land?
That's a good idea. Actually, I took one of the junkies there during the summer. Me and one of my clients got a workout in there. So that's actually an idea. Maybe the next time we do a workout meetup, maybe we'll go to Alpha Land. I think that might be a good idea. So I appreciate that.
That land, I gotta say, it's so epic, but at the same time, I would be so intimidated being
Yeah,
there.
that's what my client said. He's like, man, this is motivating. He's like, there's a lot of fit people around here. It is almost kind of a little bit intimidating even for someone like me. It's just like, yeah, it's like almost seems like everyone there is like a fitness influencer themselves. It's kind of crazy, but it's pretty cool.
And also, I think everyone would be fighting, okay, who's going to film each other, or if we're filming the same area.
Right, man. Someone else. Yeah, I don't know if you follow him online, but this would be amazing. I feel like he's just crushing it right now. But Alex Hormozy, I mean, that'd be like my dream podcast guest. I mean, that would be awesome. So
Those are all great guests, and I'll keep my fingers crossed for you, Kade. So we got to talk about the power of social media, and you have a lot of incredible channels. Your YouTube channel just hit 1,000, so congratulations!
Thank
And not to miss subscribers. And I got to say, your Instagram is you're almost up to pretty soon 10,000 followers.
you. Yeah, I appreciate it, man. Yeah, things are going pretty good. It's growing. Yeah, just expanding the reach. So that's what it's all about. So
Absolutely, absolutely. So we gotta start winding down some of our conversation. So as you know, that we're in 2024 right now, and as part a lot of people's fitness, a lot of people's resolutions are like for me, it's an ongoing thing. So it's not a resolution because resolutions get dropped like hotcakes. But like being part of the fitness, having an ongoing fitness journey. Can you share several quick tips with my audience?
absolutely. Yeah, so kind of my philosophy with fitness and what I talk about a lot online is about how a lot of people are they've got these misbeliefs or these limiting beliefs where they think you got to spend hours and hours in the gym and like cut out all the foods that you like to reach your goals. And they have this like scarcity mindset around fitness where if you just set up the right strategy, you kind of work smarter, not harder. And you focus on the main compound lifts and progressive overload in the gym. With honestly as little as like 3 times a week for like 30-45 minutes, like you can see a lot of progress with that. I would start there with the actual gym workouts. Make sure to track your steps. I think steps are really underrated as far as what it can do for you to transform your physique. I don't even have my clients do a whole lot of cardio, right? If you can just get 7 to 10K steps a day, like you're going to just start burning a lot more calories week in, week out. So that's like, I feel like one of the easiest levers you can pull to just like make a ton of progress with leaning out is increasing your steps, and then just setting up your diet to work smart, not hard. Like, that should really be the main thing that makes things a lot easier on you. So like, don't think effort. Don't think like, all right, I've got to just, burn all these calories this year, coming into 2024, right? I'm sure a lot of your audience is going to set these New Year's resolutions. I feel like a lot of people come in and they're just like balls to the wall, just like, I need to go in and just cardio myself away. But when you set your diet up for your success and you just set yourself up in a caloric deficit and you learn about protein, carbs, and fat, you learn about the macros, you learn how to fuel yourself correctly, recover correctly. It's more about the strategy than it is the effort. And think more about like adding in good nutrient dense food than like trying to rip away all the food that you enjoy, right? Because if you add in good nutrient dense food, odds are that you're just naturally going to start eating less of the junk food and stuff like that, right? And your body's going to start to feel better. You're going to start to have more fuel, more energy. You're going to recover better. You're going to feel better. And then the fitness progress is going to be a byproduct of all that. So yeah, that's how I can kind of wrap it up a little bit with some tips there.
Those are fabulous tips, Kate. Those are fabulous tips. So last question, are you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay, where can my audience, if they're interested in signing up for your services, sign up with you and to join your program, or where can we connect with you on social media?
For sure. So there it is. So I put my Instagram handle right here on the StreamYard thing. So it's at Kade_Jungkurth if you're just listening. So it's at KADE_JUNGKURTH. Got a crazy last name, but that's what it is. So at Kade_Jungkurth on Instagram. That's probably my most active platform that I'm on. You can also follow me on YouTube, just at Kade Jungkurth, same spelling. So that's where I put a lot of like more of my long form content, and probably honestly, just reaching out on Instagram is probably the easiest way to get in contact with me. So yeah, that's where I would start.
Awesome, guys. And speaking of crazy last names, if you missed an episode of the Jake's Take with Jacob Elyachar podcast, visit our channels on Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, Podchaser, Spotify, and Spreaker. It's Jake's Take with Jacob Elyachar, JACOBELYACHAR. Now, are you on social media? Because I'm on social media too. Facebook, Instagram, Threads, TikTok, and YouTube. Jacob Elyachar, JACOB ELYACHAR. Now, if you want to know what's going on with America's Got Talent Fantasy League or what happened during season 10 of The Masked Singer, visit jakes-take.com for more articles, more interviews, and more music reviews. Once again, it's jakes-take.com. Thank you so much, Kate. It was a pleasure to finally meet you face to face.
Absolutely, man. Thanks for having me on. I had a good time. Thanks,
you. Guys, thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for listening. Until next time, goodbye, everybody.
Peace.